Today we will talk about XRP and some talk around how it can and can't tokenize gold, and more importantly, how a gold-backed XRP is extremely unlikely at this point in time. However, I can also explain how that could possibly happen. We have examples of how XRP and the XRPL are involved in tokenization efforts right now. You've got one that is in Zimbabwe that has recently launched a gold-backed currency. Here we are talking about a pretty new example that is with Meld Gold, and they are launching gold and silver tokens on the XRPL, which that is probably how a lot of these institutions and companies are actually tokenizing gold with quote-unquote XRP. It's with tokens on the XRPL. With that being said, I do have a bit more on what an actual gold-backed XRP could actually look like and what kinds of global institutional changes would actually have to happen, and I'll explain that here in a minute. So here is a highlight talking about HSBC, who are heavily involved with Ripple.
We're already seeing a lot of these traditional giants come into the space. HSBC tokenizing gold. We're seeing, as I mentioned, JP Morgan. We're already seeing a lot of these traditional giants come into the space. HSBC tokenizing gold. We're seeing, as I mentioned, JP Morgan.
So you've got HSBC tokenizing gold. And here's a lot more on that from Mr. Man XRP. So HSBC has partnered with the Ripple-owned company Medico to offer a custody service for crypto, which includes tokenized gold. It involves Medico's harmonized product and is an extension of HSBC's Orion platform. And here is an explanation of the harmonized platform, which I thought was actually an explanation, but it is just a high-end version of a PowerPoint. So it is operating as a holistic platform that is introducing DeFi solutions at the institutional level. It is designed to be infrastructure agnostic and integration ready, that concentrates on creating that whole ease of use because of APIs and or SaaS. Here it calls out institutions such as DZ Bank that are already using the platform. And there is more on that here. So they have incorporated including custody of crypto securities, and Ripple and Medico are called out here too. And to tie it back into HSBC, while the specific details of XRP's integration into HSBC's Orion are not explicitly called out in the provided documentation, it can be inferred that XRP's role is related to the broader ecosystem of digital assets and blockchain technology. And the whole tokenization of gold ties back into what I tend to talk about quite often. In fact, Elo has been working on it a ton. And I have also talked about how a couple of companies who are partnered with the XDC network are tokenizing gold, and XDC, XLM, and XRP all have tons of ties into IBM and the Hyperledger, which connects networks such as Quant, HBAR, and Casper, and platforms such as R3. And here is where the current round of a gold-backed XRP has been kicked up again. And it does make good amount of sense. However, it revolves around a massive change to the global economy and financial infrastructure. And essentially, it is explaining that if we have a massive change overnight where fiat currencies are pushed out and we have to transition into an asset-backed economy, then it would likely be around commodities such as gold and tied to an SDR, which is a special drawing right. And a lot of the speculation on how XRP could be involved in that comes down to its connections to the World Bank, IMF, and tons of other institutions across the entire globe at this point. One of the particularly interesting arguments in support of this is that Ripple has a lot of ties into almost all of the countries in BRICS, who have been talking more and more about how they are creating an asset-backed financial infrastructure that will very likely end up as a DLT and blockchain product and will probably represent some form of tokenized commodities. And Nerdy X called out how XRP can't be pegged to anything. And that seems to go in line with what David Schwartz has explained about how 1 XRP equals 1 XRP. So in order to have a commodity-backed XRP, you would have to have each and every XRP operating in that exact same way. And I'm still not 100% confident on that, so if I'm not correct on that, please drop it in a comment, but that is how I understand it at this point in time. And the reply I had was that if you take XRP itself out of this and replace it with CBDC or whatever else it is that will run on a new blockchain infrastructure, it does line up with a lot of the converging trains of thought. And what I mean by that is that there are multiple examples of things right now that are calling out how Ripple and XRP and even Stellar and XLM are highly involved in creating a new financial infrastructure. So there are a lot of individual examples of work happening right now. And if you think outside of the box and you begin to piece them all together, then it begins to sound as if in some way, shape, or form, what is being explained here on this graphic might not be totally insane.